Hey everyone, today I would like to talk to you about racial stereotyping of Asians in early American silent film. Now, the film industry really began in the turn of the century, but to truly understand the changing social perceptions of new arrival immigrants at this time, we need to look back as far as the California Gold Rush. Back in 1848, the promise of gold brought labor workers from all over the world to the United States, many of which were from China. These Chinese immigrant laborers were involved in agricultural and industrial work, particularly in the garment industry. American industries realized that Chinese workers were willing to work for significantly less wages and for longer hours than other laborers. Thus, anti-Chinese sentiment began to grow in America, as Chinese laborers began to occupy many of the jobs and resources that Americans were competing for. To try to mitigate this growing racial resentment, in 1882, President Chester A. Arthur initiated the Chinese Exclusion Act, which banned Chinese immigrants from coming into the United States for 10 years. Yellow peril is the idea that there exists a threat to Western living standards from the influx of Eastern Asian laborers willing to work for very low wages. The rise in anti-Chinese sentiment rose at the time of another phenomenon in America, the rise of motion pictures. By 1900, American white male filmmakers, the most famous of which were D.W. Griffith and Cecil B. DeMille, began producing full-length silent feature films for American audiences. These early American silent films often addressed race, and directors deliberately cast all film roles with whites, even when the characters were meant to be black or Asian. Yellowface is the practice of white actors changing their appearance with makeup in order to play East Asian characters in films and plays. Yellowface applies to Griffith's 1919 silent feature film Broken Blossoms, in which the lead role, a Chinese immigrant shopkeeper in London named Cheng Huan, is played by Caucasian actor Richard Barthelmess. During this year of silent film, American director Cecil B. DeMille also produced the 1915 silent film The Cheat. In The Cheat, Japanese-born actor Setsuo Hayakawa became one of the first Asians to actually portray an Asian character for American film audiences. Although there was no yellowface in the film plays on the American fear of miscegenation between Asian men and Caucasian women. The term miscegenation refers to the interbreeding of two people considered to be different races. The Cheat made no secret of racially stereotyping Hayakawa's character in the film as lewd and immoral, and represents again the yellow peril of the Chinese and Asian immigrants in general that developed before, during, and after World War I. A notable Asian who was able to break through some of this derogatory racial stereotyping of Asians was a California-born Chinese woman, Anna May Wong. She began in the Hollywood 20s playing stereotypical evil Chinese dragon lady roles, exemplified in the 1924 silent film The Thief of Baghdad. By the early 1930s, Anna May Wong had started to distinguish herself as a popular Asian female icon that Hollywood directors sought after. This culminated in Joseph von Sternberg's 1932 Shanghai Express. After Shanghai Express, Anna May Wong became so globally in demand that she could refuse demeaningly racialized roles. In 1937, she turned down the lead role in MGM's The Good Earth, protesting the blatant yellow-facing in the film, arguing, "You're asking me with Chinese blood to do the only unsympathetic role in a film featuring an all-American cast portraying Chinese characters. I had to be sure if I was playing a Chinese or merely giving an American interpretation of one. The real Chinese should be shown to the audiences of the world, if only to correct the false impressions of the past." Thank you.